ChatGPT and Google Gemini AI for web development. We're going to be giving both of the tools a fair shot today, and we are going to do that by giving each one the exact same prompts throughout the video. If you guys disagree with anything or have any ideas, I would love to make a part 2 of this video. So go down in the comments and let me know what I can do next time that you guys might want to see. So first, we're going to start off with ChatGPT. I already have it open and I have some pre-written prompts that I'm going to go ahead and use. And again, we're going to be giving both of these a fair shot by giving it exactly the same prompt on both sides. So we're just going to start off real basic and then we'll get a little bit more advanced and more specific as we go on in today's video. First, I'm going to start off with create a website template using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Give me your best. Let's see what ChatGPT can give us. I'm really excited to see which AI tool is going to come out on top today. All right, so it gave us a basic template. It doesn't look like ChatGPT wrote any JavaScript right off the bat. So what I'm going to do now is I already have my index.html file ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and paste that code here and include my CSS just in a style tag like so. I'm not going to create it in a separate file. Obviously, you should always do that, but for today's video, I want to keep everything real simple for you guys and within the same page. So we're going to go ahead and save this and see what we get. So here's what we get right off the bat. Not a bad template. We have a little header here with my website where I assume that it would want you to put a title, but as you guys can see, it's not responsive. I mean, the links do move, but if you go down to mobile size like I am here, they're all jumbled up. Now I'm gonna go ahead and open Google Gemini here, and keep in mind, I haven't used specifically this AI tool before. I think I used it at some point when it was called Bard or Bart. They keep changing the name, so it's pretty confusing, but let's go ahead and paste our prompt in here. Again, I'm giving it exactly the same prompt that I gave ChatGPT. Let's go ahead and submit that, see what we can get from this. Okay, so just to start off, maybe it's just my internet, I'm not exactly sure, but it looks like Google Gemini generates it a lot faster than it did with ChatGPT, which is really nice because ChatGPT is a little bit slow at times. It's not a major issue or anything, but it is a little bit slower. And as you guys can see, it actually correctly links to a separate file and everything, which is really nice. I didn't even have to tell Google to create a new link for the style sheet or for our scripts, and they're both in the correct place. So since Google's setting it up that way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go over here to our template, paste this in, and then I'm actually going to go ahead and create my separate files. And with Google, it automatically created some JavaScript for us today. I don't know if that's just subjective or if that happens every time or not, but in this case, it did. So let's go ahead and refresh. So here we get basically the exact same template that we got with ChatGPT, but the major thing I want to look at is this responsive without me having to ask it? So let's go ahead and adjust the size of our page. And as you guys can see, it's just a real basic template. It's not responsive or anything, as you guys can see. So now what I want to do is I actually want to compare both of these side by side. So as you guys can see, really similar templates here. Welcome to my website. Welcome to my website. This is the main content. This is a basic website template. We did get a button with Google. I guess I just thought it was a good idea. Similar footer, header, pretty close to the same, not any huge difference. I really don't know which one wins this part of the challenge because they're so similar, but if I had to pick, I would definitely, as a web developer, want to start with what ChatGPT gave us versus what Google Gemini gave us, because this one over here is a little bit cleaner and the colors are a little bit more distinct and easier to work with. But overall, I really have no problem with either of these. I think I could work with either of these really easily as a web developer, and I don't even have to start from scratch. So now what I want to do is actually look at the code of this. So let's see what we get from Google Gemini and from ChatGPT. So on the left, I have the code from ChatGPT, and keep in mind the styles are all within the HTML page. So that's really only the major difference, but I really want to see how this created our navigation, how it created our sections and everything like that. So if we look within our code, you can see both of them pretty much use the same thing. We have the correct nav elements, we have our header elements in both of these, and both navigations are created using unordered lists, as you guys can see right there, and they're not linked to anything because we don't have multiple pages or anything yet. They both utilize our section containers. As you guys can see, we're using a hero class over here, but this is not really making a difference because all of this is, you know, pretty much the same, as you guys can see. So between these two AI tools, they both generate almost exactly the same template. Now what I want to do is see if we can ask ChatGPT to do something really specific. So we're going to say create 3-column flexbox layout using HTML and CSS. Create a circle in each of the columns, make the circle blue, green, and red in that order. The flexbox should be responsive as the view width shrinks. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in, see what we can get from ChatGPT. So as you guys can see here, it definitely takes a little bit longer for ChatGPT to render. It's not a huge delay or anything, but Google is definitely quicker at rendering the prompts. So it looks like ChatGPT did give us a separate link for our style sheet, so I'll go ahead and add that in now. I'm gonna go ahead and save this now, and then go ahead and refresh my browser here, and we're gonna see what we get. So it seems that we're not actually getting anything. Okay, so I was struggling with this for the longest time because I put all this code in here and it just gave me a completely blank page. So what ChatGPT is doing is it's actually hiding our layout when we shrink down to a mobile view. But I said make it responsive, not to hide or minimize it or anything like that. So what it should do is our flexbox should change and become responsive as we minimize our viewport here, or shrink it, as I should say. And so what I meant by that was I wanted each of these to move down to their own row as I shrink the page. But as you guys can see, it's just completely hiding. Again, I could change all of this in the CSS, but the point of this video is to really see how it will work just by giving it basic prompts. So now let's steal our prompt from ChatGPT and go over here to Google and see if Google can do any better, or if it kind of has the same issues or maybe even worse than ChatGPT. And as you guys can see, it's going to go ahead and generate up our prompt here, and you guys can see how much quicker this is than ChatGPT was. It definitely generates up everything a lot faster. Does it make a huge difference? Both are pretty darn fast, obviously, but Google is just a little bit quicker, which is nice to know. All right, now we have all the code that Google went ahead and gave us here, and as you guys can see on the right, it's more what I asked for when it comes to the prompt. This is more what I was looking for. So my columns grow and shrink. I would rather my columns obviously wrap down to the next row here, but it still does work successfully for mobile. And what Google did, which I like much better than what ChatGPT did, is the size of my circles don't change. And for really big viewports, that might not be the best thing, but you could always set up a media query or something to fix that. But I didn't like with ChatGPT how the circles were expanding because it made them distort a lot. So now let's pull up what ChatGPT gave us and see if we can look at the difference here. So we're gonna go ahead and move this so you guys can see. So as you guys can see, it's just nothing showing until we get to a larger viewport. And what I don't like about ChatGPT here is that it distorts the circles as they grow and shrink. I obviously just want the circles to be circles the entire time they're on the screen and not shrink down to this weird ovally looking shape, because it looks distorted and it just doesn't look right. But Google, on the other hand, over here, we can change the size to whatever we want and they still display on our screen here. I would like the circles to grow as we change the view width here, but from the standpoint of just creating a basic template, Google definitely wins this one because it gave me something that I can work with a little bit better. So as you guys can see here, ChatGPT definitely gave us a more basic block of code than Google did. Google actually created a div and then created more divs inside for each of our circles here. But as you can see on ChatGPT, it just created divs right within the parent div, so it doesn't go as far as the Google code is going here. I think the Google code is a lot easier to work with because this, we would have to come and add all these divs that Google already added for us. And in our styles, we don't have any media queries yet within our Google CSS over here on the right, but on the left we do have the media query here, and you guys can see that that's what's messing with our display. Let's go ahead and move on to the next prompt here. What we're going to do is we're actually going to ask it to create a navigation bar for us, and we're going to ask it to create a clickable search icon. We're going to tell it where to place the icons, that underneath 1,000 pixels the links should turn into a hamburger icon, and we even tell it to pull from Font Awesome for those icons. Let's see what ChatGPT can make for us. I definitely think Google is up 1-0. I think the first round was honestly a tie, but the second round, Google definitely won that one. It wrote us up much better HTML that we can work with. So ChatGPT is done generating the code for us, and you're gonna notice that it does include a JavaScript file here, but it doesn't actually put any JavaScript within that file. It just says JavaScript code if any additional functionality is needed. But I'm trying to get the entire thing set up in one go. We do successfully have our navigation for our full screen viewport here. We do have the spot for our logo. We don't have the search icon that we asked for in our prompt. And when we shrink the page down, there is no navigation links at all here, so it just completely ignored me asking for that hamburger icon here. It didn't even create it at all or anything. So basically in our mobile view, all we have is the red background and a spot for a logo. Now we're gonna take this exact prompt and see if Google can give us something better or maybe worse. We'll have to see. So let's go ahead and put this in and see how long Google takes to generate this. It's definitely a lot quicker, which is nice, but let's take this code and see if it is any better at all. You're gonna notice with Google, it actually did give us some JavaScript code, which is really what we needed from ChatGPT to make that navigation work. But in this case, let's go ahead and see if this is actually going to be successful in doing exactly what we asked for in our prompt. Go ahead and refresh that. And as you guys can see, we do successfully have our hamburger icon, but when we click on it, it doesn't actually do anything. Obviously, we could add the JavaScript code for that. But right off the bat, it's nice that we already have that icon in there, and Google is successfully linking to Font Awesome here, so we don't have to do that ourselves. It is adding this weird HTML text up here for some reason. I don't know why I did that. I don't know if I just copied it wrong. Let's go take a look. So yeah, it looks like I just ended up copying this by accident, but the code that it actually gave us did not include that HTML. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that and then go ahead and resave it. This is much better from a template standpoint because look, we do successfully have our navigation in the middle for our full screen viewport here, and on the left we have a spot for our logo already, and we have the search button that we asked for right here, which is nice because it sets up all the icons, all the colors, everything we need. And all we need to do now is just add some JavaScript functionality to make this search icon work. And if we shrink down, we already have our hamburger menu. And this is exactly what I asked for here, guys. I asked for these links to be in the middle, this search icon to be on the right, and our logo to be on the left. And then when we shrink down, I wanted the logo on the left and the hamburger icon on the right. So I definitely think Google is kind of kicking ChatGPT's butt. A lot of people were talking mess about the new Google AI, but it's actually doing a pretty darn good job so far. Open our ChatGPT code now, and as you guys can see on our mobile screen, we don't even have a hamburger icon in ChatGPT. Enlarge our page for Google. We do successfully have the links where we asked Google to put them, the search icon where we asked for it, and the logo exactly where we asked. But over here on ChatGPT, all we have is the logo and our menu links, but no hamburger icon here. So it's interesting. So definitely from my standpoint as a web designer and developer, I'd much rather start off with the Google code because it kind of gives us everything that we need where we want it already, so we don't have to worry about dealing with that anymore. Let's go ahead and take a look at the code. So as you guys can see, ChatGPT actually created our navigation with a div and some anchor tags within it, while Google created it with an unordered list again. And it is using a navigation, which is good here, a nav element, I should say. It's successfully over here linking to our JavaScript file within Google Gemini here, but okay, no, it is successfully linking in ChatGPT. It's just up here in the head, and it does successfully have the deferred tag, as you should. But overall, I think Google's doing a much better job. We do have our hamburger icon down here, but it's not even displaying when we shrink the page. So with the ChatGPT code, we have to go back in there and actually get this to work. But with Google, we don't. So far, it's 2-0 Google. Now, let's go ahead and finish up this video the right way. We're gonna get into our most specific prompt. This prompt is going to ask to create a website with the navigation links, home, menu, about, create a separate page for each of the links, and so on. If you guys want to read this, you can go ahead and pause, but basically we are going to specifically ask it to create a header, a hero image, a grid layout for images, a footer, and everything we need on our website to go ahead and get up and started. And we're even going to ask it to create each page of the 3 from the home, menu, and about links that we asked for. Let's go ahead and put this in now. See what we can get from ChatGPT. So it's specifying index.html already, which is good. Let's see if it generates up our other pages as well. So we do have it starting to create our other pages. So what I'm gonna do now is, as this generates, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding it in to our Visual Studio Code. We're gonna go ahead and save and refresh, and as you guys can see, this is what ChatGPT was able to give us. So based on the prompt that we gave it, I asked it to create a fully responsive header. I asked it to create a hero image here on the home page, which it did not do. Well, not necessarily to create a hero image, but to create a placeholder hero image with text over it and a button that says order now. And as you guys can see, it just included it as text. I asked it to create a footer here, and you guys can see it pretty much just gave me a list of some text and stuff. Maybe if I shrink, so it's not responsive. I asked it to make it responsive as well. So it really didn't do a whole lot for us. It looks like it did create a section for our hero image, but it didn't actually create any space. It didn't put a spot to include an image. GPT not really doing that well so far. I mean, I'm really surprised. I use ChatGPT for a lot of things here, but it's kind of disappointing. I mean, I gave it a really specific prompt. I told it exactly what I wanted, and it didn't even really do half of what I asked. Let's move over to Google, see if Google can do any better. And another thing I want to add is ChatGPT didn't even create any JavaScript. It just didn't even create any JavaScript of any sort when you think it would right off the bat, but I guess not. So let's go ahead and steal our same prompt here, and then we're gonna put this in Google. And this is gonna be so interesting to see, guys, because I wanna know if Google is a better option for web developers out there. So now we have our code from Google Gemini with the exact same prompt. Let's go ahead and stick this into our Visual Studio Code now, and I'll show you what it looks like. Google did this weird thing where it says rest of the CSS in the next comment. So I guess I'm gonna ask it to give me the rest of the CSS. So we're gonna say, give all of the CSS. This is kind of weird that it's doing this. We're gonna see if this works. Hopefully this doesn't screw up what we're trying to say. or trying to do here. See if it's the same as the top. So yeah, it's repeating the same code. So we're just gonna go ahead and copy this one here. And I know there's a button for copying, but sometimes that screws up, especially with ChatGPT. So that's why I'm doing it manually here today. So we're gonna go ahead and take our styles, and now I'm almost worried. I'm like, did I miss some styles from ChatGPT? So we may have to go take a look at that, because maybe I'm dogging on ChatGPT and it did give us the styles that we need. So let's go ahead and take a look. No, continue generating. Okay, so it looks like we did miss some styles from ChatGPT. So I may have to take back some of the things I said. It's really hard to see that little button down there though. It literally says continue generating, and it's really hard to even know that's there. So let's go ahead and put this back into ChatGPT before we finish up with Google. I'm going all over the place today for you guys. Let's go ahead and paste this. Maybe that's the reason our template was so bad. But I mean, a lot of people would easily miss that button down at the bottom. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna reopen this. We're gonna resave, and I'm really holding out hope this is much better. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to take back a lot of the stuff I was just saying about ChatGPT. I was like, that template is absolutely not what I asked for. But here with the ChatGPT template now, it's looking much, much better. We have a spot for our hero image. We have a correct footer down here with our site menu. It's still not as responsive as I'd want it to be. I asked for a hamburger icon over here on the right side when it shrinks down to a certain size, which it did not create. Obviously there's no image because we haven't put an image in there yet. We're really just trying to set up a template in this video. Okay, so now we're gonna try out the Google code. I copied all this code. I'm gonna go ahead and move it over to Google Gemini now, and we're gonna go ahead and see what Google is able to do for us, see if it can do any better. Now it's the moment of truth. Can ChatGPT create a better overall template? Let's see now. So as you guys can see, ooh, it looks like Google's struggling, guys. Google AI is really struggling here. But as you guys can see, look at how bad this looks. I mean, it's completely not even responsive. Let's see if this will change into our hamburger. So no, we have our navigation up here, which not very good. I think ChatGPT still wasn't that great, but it definitely did a better job. But you guys can see our content, I don't even think is on the page. Our text is white when I specifically asked for correct contrast. Our text and button are not centered like I asked for. Look at the difference, guys. So I think definitely ChatGPT overall here on the last prompt, where we wanted to create everything and are really specific with it, definitely does a lot better, guys. I mean, it definitely does a lot better. Our text and our button are centered and they're styled and everything already. This is all set up properly when this is not. It just says sitemap. Obviously, when I say a sitemap, I mean the links to the rest of the website. So we're gonna go ahead and check out our menu. We do successfully have our grid with image placeholders over here, guys. So it looks really nice and everything would be easy just to plug and play. Now this, I don't know why the about page is, okay, no, about page, I still have a spot for an image, place for text, everything over here. And we have our grid layout. Let's go ahead and see if these links work now. So as you guys can see, Google, so definitely overall, look, the menu, we don't even have any placeholders for images or anything when we specifically asked, and ChatGPT does do it over here. Let's go to our about page. Our about page is just completely blank. Oh my gosh, this is so hard, guys. Based on the whole video today on Google smoking ChatGPT, I thought for sure this last prompt would have to go to Google, but I cannot say that. ChatGPT wins the most important and final challenge here today. It does create a much better and easier to work with template for an entire website than Google does. Google didn't even put anything. I mean, most of it's just blank. Like the menu, there's just nothing even here. I don't even understand. Let's go ahead and take a look at the code and maybe we can find the issue that way. So we have our Google code on the right over here. Everything was saved. Everything was good. It just didn't give us as much detail as ChatGPT did. ChatGPT just gave us much better detail. It understood my prompt and what I was asking for a lot better. So overall, I would have to say I have to go with ChatGPT. It looked like Google was setting itself up to win the entire challenge here, but in the fourth quarter, ChatGPT came around and just completely destroyed Google. I mean, Google just didn't do a great job with this last prompt. Let me know what you guys think about today's video. If you guys want to see part 2 or what other AI tools for web development you want to see me compare on this channel. Thanks so much for watching. I'm really surprised how this video unfolded. I thought one side was just going to be the clear-cut winner the entire video, but it was really back and forth in today's video. Thanks so much for watching.